to be a masterpiece and to be a work in progress at the same time. That's the art of falling in love with yourself.
I realize that sometimes the only one that can put the pieces back together is yourself.
With love, Mafe.
Kim Peretz, welcome to I Missed Me. I literally cannot believe what is going on right now. We are at Spotify recording. Like, can you believe it?
Me and Mafe are having some weird
No, we're literally like
moment.
in derealization right now because, first of all, as a podcaster, this is like your playground.
Yeah.
And also, we met like 2 months ago, like a month ago, and I feel like I've known you for like my whole entire life. And also, I was listening back to like both of our episodes, and I say it on both. Hopefully, we can record in person one day. And, like, not only are we recording in person, but we are in Spotify. Like, what's going on? I literally want to cry.
No, we manifested it because I remember texting you after we had filmed via Zoom for my podcast. And I was like, okay, hopefully, like, we get to do it live one day at a studio soon.
Right.
Hasn't even been 2 months since recording it.
No.
And we're at Spotify, guys. So
life just happens
stay Delulu.
so fast. Literally beat Delulu. But yeah, welcome to I Missed Me again. I am so happy and so grateful to have you back. And I am so excited for today's conversation because I kind of was thinking about like good topics that we can like talk about being this episode such a special episode, and I kind of just want to go back to heartbreak because it is something that a lot of people that listen to our podcast go through. And I feel like we talk a lot about healing and about self-love, and after like everything that happens after that like acceptance stage, which is obviously like very hard, but what comes before that is like even harder. And like all of the stages that we go through after we first go through a breakup of like any type of like heartbreak of any type. It can be like friendships or relationships or whatever. Like all of those stages are very hard. So I think I thought that it would be a very good idea if we kind of just like navigate all of those stages till we get to like acceptance, and then people can like actually start listening to all of our other episodes where we talk about like what happens after acceptance, but understanding what happens before it, I feel like it's very important. So I want to talk about that today. And my first question for you is obviously the first stage that we all go through when we go through heartbreak or any type of breakup is the denial stage. How did you navigate your denial stage with breakups that you've been through? Because you've been through friendship breakups, you've been through relationship breakups. How do you navigate denial?
I think something that I noticed about myself, a past version of myself, and a lot of other people, is that when a relationship ends for some reason in your life, like the first step that most of us are inclined to do is resist it and just like resist the ending of the relationship. Because when a relationship ends, it's like you're shedding a certain part of yourself. And so I think a really important thing to note is it's okay to be gentle with yourself in those moments and also grieve. Like, you don't have to be a boss-ass independent bitch right away, whether you just ended a friendship or a serious relationship. Like, part of the journey is also feeling your emotions, especially as a woman, as most of our podcast audience is. I think it's so important to feel your emotions fully. And something that I shared on a future episode on the podcast, but I've been diving deep into the Kabbalah, which is do you know what that is?
I know what that is, and I got goosebumps. That's so funny that you mentioned it, because I was on the phone with Vanessa Fontana like 2 days ago, and we were talking about spirituality and like religion and stuff, and I literally mentioned Kabbalah.
Yeah?
Because long story short, me and my parents we've always been super close, but me and my dad used to clash a lot because he used to have like a very like strong temper. And as soon as we moved to the US, he was like trying to find like things to do, and he like found Kabbalah and he started practicing Kabbalah, and like he became a whole brand new like person. And I found it super interesting, like how much something can change a person, because he became a brand new person after it. And so Kabbalah is just basically, it's not a religion, but it is a practice of like, you know, finding yourself. I feel like it's so beautiful. But sorry, I was like, what? Because I literally just talked about it.
We're so in sync. So for anyone who doesn't know what Kabbalah is, just like lay the foundation. It's basically a Jewish form of mysticism, but it's not. It has nothing to do with the religion. So it's really all about the relationship with self and others around you. And I love it because I think it has really amazing tools and wisdom in it that goes very deep, that can help you really understand yourself and your relationships. And one thing that I learned through the Kabbalah is this concept of pause with a pleasure, which basically says that when something goes wrong in your life, like when you have chaos, rejection, heartbreak, like whatever it is, you tell yourself pause with a pleasure. Now, what does that mean? It means telling yourself this idea that you're going to take a pause, you're going to breathe, and you're going to remind yourself that even though this situation, i.e., this breakup, seems like the worst thing in the world, there is a reason that this breakup is happening, because it's happening in your highest good. Now, it's not easy at all. I think you have to be pretty delulu to tell yourself that when you just went through like an ending of 5-year relationship, right? But this idea will bring you so much peace and will allow you to tap into the path of least resistance, because you just remind yourself that sometimes things happen and we don't realize why they happen, but sometimes things happen for the best of us and what we actually need. And maybe it's not what we wanted to in the moment, but it's what our soul and what our hearts need. And something that I read the other day, I'm going to totally butcher this, but it was like, you don't lose people, you just get in alignment. Something like that. I don't think that was the actual quote, but this idea that you never actually lose someone in your life. Like when someone walks out of your life, it's just your energy. We talked about this in the past episode too. Like your energies just aren't aligned anymore. And that's okay. And you can grieve that. You don't have to pretend like you're not sad. You can be in that denial stage of saying, okay, we matched for a long time, our energies worked, and now they're not. And you can grieve that, because growth is sometimes painful too, you know?
I love that. And as someone who has been through a breakup, I know how hard it is to hear everything is going to get better, or like everything happens for a reason. Like that's the last thing you want to hear, especially in that first like denial stage where like all you want is that person back. Like all you want is like the plan that you had back. Like all you want is like for things to be normal again. How did you go through that? Like, because I remember for me, it took me a very long time, and this was the main reason why it took me so hard to like get over the actual like relationship, is because I was in that denial stage for a very, very, very long. How did you personally like got through it?
I think when you go through a breakup, your whole world seems like it's clashing in front of your eyes. And so something that I really suggest to anyone listening is ground yourself. And when I say ground yourself, I mean connect back to yourself, especially as a woman. When we go through a breakup and we feel those emotions, we're kind of like in this wounded energy a little that strips us of our happiness, of our light and our joy and our radiance. And I think the way I see breakups, and I always say this, is breakups are opportunities for breakthroughs. Like if you are going through a breakup right now in your life, thank the universe, okay? Even if it seems like the worst thing in the world, and even if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you right now, you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, okay, this is why this happened. This is why we weren't together anymore. You're gonna realize how much you grow from it, because pain often is what allows us to grow, right? Like what's this quote that, oh my God, I'm totally forgetting it, but something about like the light can only get in once like you're broken.
Right.
Do you know what quote I'm talking about?
No, but it's just like the concept of like nothing can get in if it's full, you know, like.
Yeah. So I think it's really important to come back to yourself, like reconnect with your feminine energy, your feminine essence. You were someone before this relationship, and you will be someone after this relationship. And you really want to use this time to get to know yourself, because if you don't truly know yourself, you're allowing other people to tell you who you are. And so I see it as an opportunity to truly get to know yourself, like on a deep level. Take yourself out on dates. Go try a new hobby. meditate, journal about your feelings, go see a therapist if you really need to talk about stuff. Like, there's no shame. I literally just started therapy and it's helped me so much. And I had done therapy like in a past period of my life. And sometimes you need that extra support when you're going through a lot of changes. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame. Just want to put that out there, to ask for guidance. And I'm trying to think of some other things that I would recommend. I think just get out of your comfort zone.
And I think what you're saying is super important, because I feel like one of the main reasons why people are so scared of actually accepting that their relationship is over is because, like, once you actually accept, like, you actually have to become a different person, or like you, like, people are afraid to face themselves after heartbreak. Like, who am I now without this person? Like, who am I gonna be? Who am I gonna become? Like, that is so scary. And that is one of the main reasons why people stay in denial, is because, like, I do not want to accept who I'm going to become once I, like, accept, you know? And that is very scary, but, like, there cannot be growth without pain. There cannot be growth without letting go. And that is what you have to keep in mind, is, like, instead of seeing it from the other person's point of view of, like, I miss him, I cannot be myself without him, see life from, like, your point of view. Is like, okay, if the universe is removing someone from my life, it is for a reason. It is for my, like, highest good, and there is something that I have to learn from this, you know? And if I'm not able to see that, then I'm gonna stay the same forever, and that's, like, super unfair to yourself, and that's, like, dishonoring yourself.
Right.
Once we get through that denial stage comes anger. And this is definitely something that I felt for a very long time. And it's anger towards the person who hurt you, because, like, you told me you loved me and, like, you broke my heart. So, like, were you, like, lying to me the whole time? And anger towards ourselves also, of, like, I allowed myself to be vulnerable. I'm like hurt, or maybe, like, I made mistakes and this is why the relationship ended. And I remember the amount of, like, conflict that I had with myself and with the person. And there cannot be healing while feeling resentment and while feeling anger. How did you navigate your anger stage? Did you ever have it? Because, like, you look like the most, like, the chillest person ever. Like, I'm like, Kim cannot be angry, but, like, was there any anger towards yourself, towards the person? How do you navigate that stage?
Yes, I want to take off my shoes.
Take it them off.
No, like, I want to have my feet out.
But I don't want my toes to show.
Okay, guys, don't look at our feet.
Do not look at my toes.
But it's just girls here. It's just the girlies. It's fine.
Right, but this is going on social media, and I don't want.
Wait, by the way, do you know that I found out that I'm on a feet website? I Googled myself.
What?
Yeah, I Googled myself, and I'm on.
I Googled you too. I Googled you on the airplane, and I was like, you have 2 books? You have 2 books?
Yeah.
That's crazy. But I did not go that far.
No, I Googled myself one day, and I saw I'm on Rate My Wiki Feet or something. And I was like, what have I done? And it's these men that just screenshotted my feet from my TikToks and are rating my feet.
I'm so careful with my toes online.
I know.
Like,
no,
I'm not
but me
even
too.
kidding. I'm not. I literally, like, I will always blur them out with my fingers, because I don't want people to monetize out of my toes.
Literally. No free toe pics.
No.
Anyways, I wanted to touch base before about the anger. You mentioned about missing someone, and I want to show a different perspective, because I think when you're going through that denial stage, a lot of the thoughts that you tell yourself is like, okay, I'll never find anyone like them. I'll never feel this way again. Like, I can never replace them, da-da-da. But the truth is, a lot of the time, you don't actually miss the person itself. You miss the feeling they gave you. You miss the security, the safety, the comfort, maybe the attachment. And I think it's really important to differentiate that when you're going through your breakup. It's totally okay to grieve someone and them leaving your life, but you also want to remind yourself that there are, like, I know this sounds weird to say, but there are, like, billions of men out there in the world and billions of women out there. And I'm someone, again, going back to the Kabbalah, like, I really don't believe that there's just one person out there for you. Maybe that belief resonates with some people, maybe it doesn't. But I believe that there are multiple people out there for you, and they match with you depending on your energy. Now, sink or swim. Like, if you want to grow and be with someone who keeps holding you back and allows you to stay the same, like, that's your choice. But sometimes if you're not meant to be with someone and you're growing in one direction and they're growing in the other direction, there's nothing you can do to make them stay if it's not meant for you, right?
What do you think about, I've always said that right person, wrong time is bullshit.
Yes.
I've always said that.
I always
said that because it's like, it's right person, right time, always.
Yeah.
Always. It's never wrong person, wrong time, wrong person, right time,
Yeah.
wrong person. It's never that. It's always right person, right time,
Right.
regardless of how long it lasts, because it taught you something and it made you grow.
Right.
And at the time, it is what you needed,
Right.
even if it ended. And like, I've always argued with my friends, like, right person, wrong time. It's like, no, it was right person, right time. And if it's the right person, it will come back at the right time again. But I just don't believe in it.
Yeah, because I think that belief system holds a lot of people back.
Right.
From moving on, because you hold on to this false hope that maybe that person is meant for you. But the best way to know if something or someone is truly meant for you in your life is just to give it up.
Yeah.
Let it go completely. Give it up to the universe. Be okay without it. If it's meant for you, it will find you. But forcing it, chasing someone, begging for someone to stay in your life isn't gonna help you out in any way, because you want someone to stay in your life by force? You want to force something to be in your life, or you want it to flow? Because flow is where happiness is, you know?
And it's where peace is, and like that's the most important thing that you can have, because peace doesn't have any like opposites, you know? Like happiness is always, or pleasure is always connected with pain. And so no matter how much pleasure something might give you for a certain amount of time, it will bring pain once it ends.
Yeah, totally. And coming back to your anger point, first of all, I do get a little angry. I am Middle Eastern.
I don't see that.
You're Latina, I'm Middle Eastern.
I don't see that. I know, I get angry. People know that. Oh my gosh, I posted a TikTok the other day and someone commented, I feel like you're a retired mean girl that turned spiritual. And I'm like, who said I'm retired? who said I'm retired? But I'm also spiritual.
That's so good. Oh, I love that. No, I definitely do get angry, but I think I've learned over the years how to express my anger in a more like sacred rage, in a way that you don't want to say temporary hurtful things during temporary moments. And that's something that, to be like honest and vulnerable, like a past version of me would just like spew really mean words and anger, because I was very triggered and I didn't have a good relationship with myself. And so that's kind of how I protected myself, is through anger instead of sadness. I didn't really let myself get sad, so I would just get angry and kind of like think the whole world is against me. And so in relationships, I've definitely felt angry, but I think at the end of the day, it's really important to feel your anger in a good way, but you want to feel it through the body. Like emotions, you release them through the body, not through the mind. So you want to feel the anger and then let it go, because the anger will hold you back. Anger causes like so many problems, like physical problems, emotional problems. Like holding on to resentment and not being able to forgive people is something that will end up harming you the most, not the other person. And so when I was going through my breakup, I had found like amazing ways to release my anger. So I was going to like really intense hip hop classes. Like I was like, pow, pow, pow. And I went to kickboxing. Okay. And I did a lot of yoga to ground me. And I even wrote some like angry journal like prompts, and then I just threw them in the fire.
That's really good.
I just like found ways to actually experience the anger instead of like sitting on my phone and texting or gossiping. Like I went out into the world and I tried to actually like feel the anger, because I think the more you genuinely feel your emotions, the easier it is for you to actually release them, you know?
Oh my gosh. Should I tell a story?
Story?
Because no, this is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing.
Wait, but we've all done embarrassing things in the past.
No, but mine is no.
Okay, let's hear it.
No.
Okay, you don't have to share.
But we're at Spotify. I mean,
you have
might as well. If there's somewhere to get vulnerable,
it's at Spotify.
Vulnerable, it's at Spotify. I'm
like sipping the tea.
I know that my anger issues come from my dad.
Okay.
Like, for sure. Because my dad used to be a very angry person, and I definitely got that from him. That's why I say, like, who said I'm retired? Like, I'm not a mean girl, but not anymore. No, I don't. Very, very few things make me angry. And now the way that I, like, handle anger, it's like, I will just shut up because I already know that if I react, I'm going to regret it.
Right.
But I used to not give myself that space before, and I used to, like, do so many embarrassing things when I was angry. But when I was going through my breakup, I had a promise ring.
Okay.
And we were kind of just, like, breaking up in the car. And I don't know, he said some, like, hurtful things, and I felt disrespected. So I, like, took my ring in front of him, in front of his face, and I opened the door and I, like, threw that ring so far. And then I just, like, got out of the car and I slammed his door, and I, like, walked into my house, and, like, that's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done. Like, that's so embarrassing. I wish I could, like, I'm sorry if you're watching this. I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that, and I would never do that now. But that's so embarrassing. Like, reacting, the things that you'll do when you're angry, you'll regret them.
Yeah. But also, the fact that, like, you feel embarrassed about it shows you how much you're not that person anymore.
Right.
Because you, like, reflect back on the past, and that makes you, like, kind of cringe.
Yeah.
Which shows, like, you're so detached from that version of you, which is amazing. Because, like, maybe you had to be that version of you to become who you are now. And, like, I've done some really stupid things with boys in the past too. No, like, same. Don't worry. Like, I would text
that could
men.
Be a whole new episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on my episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I would text men, like, paragraphs being like, why would you say this, da, 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 like, and I would, like, overgive and overgive and overgive. And the thing is that I've learned about men is they're very logical beings.
100%.
They're very logical, and they're, like, big problem solvers. Now, women, we're very emotional, and that's why, you know, sometimes when women, like, just want to, like, rant to their boyfriends about this girl that was annoying or whatever, and their boyfriends try to make it all logical, and that pisses them off because they just want their boyfriend to be like, yeah, girl, you tell her. Like, they just want that support, you know? So I've learned that expressing your needs and your emotions as a woman, the most amazing way that will serve both you and, like, any guy that you're seeing is you want to stay emotionally stable and consistent with yourself. Because guys just don't answer well to craziness and, like, anger and like spewing words. Like, people kind of understand your worth when you show them their absence, right? So if someone doesn't understand your worth, you have to be able to walk away and show them your absence so that they understand what they lost. But something that I used to do, and this was, like, my wounded feminine, is I would, like, think that I needed to teach old guys in my life what they lost. So I would just, like, send them long paragraphs being like, you have no idea what my worth is, like, da da da, and just, like, so embarrassing. And, like, I did not have any self-worth back then, because now it's like, if I go out with a guy and he disrespects me, or I don't feel like he's consistent or he's pursuing me, like, I'm just gonna be like,
bye, see you never.
Bye, like, good luck, wish you the best. I'm not gonna waste one more ounce of my time or energy on you because I know my value. And it's not from, like, an arrogant place. It's just,
no,
as
you have
women.
to.
But also, like, we have to think about it this way. As women, when we finally open up to a guy and we show them love and we fall in love with them, we, like, unleash so much love. We take care of them. We listen to them. We give them things that maybe their guy friends can't give them. Like, guys don't sit in circles and, like, talk about their emotions, you know? But with their girlfriends, like, they get softer. They can talk about their emotions. We give them a lot, and they give us the same. They give us stability and security and confidence. And when a guy and a girl are aligned for each other and they both lift each other up and they're in their healed masculine and feminine, like, they just radiate and they just both glow together and they help each other grow so much. And so I think it's so important as a woman, if you're going through a breakup right now, see this as your opportunity to get closer to yourself and to your feminine energy and to grow as a person and as a woman, so that when you fall in love again, which you will, period, tell her.
You will. And they'll break your heart again.
Okay, but listen, you know what? I was talking to one of my guy friends, and he's very spiritual, and he was saying this idea that part of the risk we take in life, I mean, life is full of risks, and part of the risk is we know when we get into a relationship that we're getting into a commitment that could end.
Right.
Like, that's just a vow
That's
we
why
all
I don't
take.
get it anymore.
No, but that's just a vow we all take, and we all know about it. We all know that sometimes things have to end, but a lot of the time, new beginnings are disguised as painful endings, right?
For sure. After we go through anger and all the embarrassing things that we do out of anger, there comes bargaining, which I think it is very important to talk about because a lot of people don't understand the concept of bargaining, but it is basically the postponing of the healing of like, what can I do to like distract myself, or immediately going out partying to like, or alcohol, like whatever, or like immediately look for those like temporary distractions, or start talking with a like new person like immediately to like cover up or like forget about them. Like that's what bargaining means, just like jumping into distractions because you know how painful healing is going to be, so like you postpone it. Did you go through bargaining?
I think we all do. I mean, I think we all, to some extent, try to numb our pain to pretend like we feel better. But I have to say that I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to like try to get yourself to move forward. You know, fake it till you make it. Not in a toxic way, though. Not in a way where like people are asking you what's wrong and like you're completely detaching from society and those around you, but in a way of saying, you know what, I don't feel 100%, but I'm getting there, and I'm focusing on moving forward. You know.
Right. What is your biggest, like, because I know that I went through a lot of bargaining and I immediately jumped into something knowing that I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And then that thing that I was using to distract me from the pain that I had broke my heart as well. And now I had like two pains to like get through. And like it's only a cover up, but like how can someone realize or like differentiate the difference between like, is this just a distraction or is it actually like me moving on and knowing if it's right? Because like I have friends that like, for example, go through breakups and they start immediately talking with like someone new.
Yeah.
But they're like, but this person treats me so well and gives me everything that my ex wasn't able to give me. But at the same time, it feels so recent that it's like, how can someone know if it's like right or if it's a distraction? Like, how would you say it's the way?
I think deep down, someone knows. I mean, you know yourself better than you know anyone else. And I think deep down, you know if someone is really a distraction for you or if you're really interested. Because, I mean, I don't think there's rules to this. I have a friend that she was like engaged and she was about to get married to this guy, and right before the wedding she like called it off.
She did?
Yeah, she called off this wedding.
Damn.
And no, but then a couple weeks later she met her soulmate and they got married and they have a baby. And like, so where I'm going with this is sometimes that happens and there's no rules to this, but I think it's really important to be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Because the most important relationship, who am I talking to? I want to talk to the camera. Don't lie to yourself, because the most important relationship of your life is the one with yourself. And if you don't have your trust, you can't expect yourself to trust other people. And so the first thing is stop breaking your own promises. Be honest with yourself. Even if you don't think that what you're doing is serving your highest good, at least be honest with yourself in that sense. And I see that with a lot of women especially. And I mean, guys do it too. Guys will break up with like a girl they really loved and then they'll go crazy, you know? But that doesn't, for women and men, I think it's different in that sense, because our bodies, like when I'm just going to get a little deep and biology, but when women are intimate with a guy, like that actually bonds us to them emotionally. Versus men, like men can have sex with a girl and not give a care in the world about her, not think about her. But women, our hormones just like don't work like that. And so I think it's really important to ask yourself, like, who are you being intimate with? Who are you giving your energy to? Because you can't, you know, in Friends, how like, did you watch Friends? Well, a lot of people, like, when you explain sex to kids, you tell them, like, you give them your flower. You know, you give him your flower. And okay, that is true though. Like when you have sex
Right.
with a guy, like you're giving him your flower, you're giving him your energy, and you're literally letting him get inside of you. Like think about it. No, because I think our generation has become like so desensitized to sex, and it's so important to talk about it and for women to talk about it and be comfortable talking about it because
Right.
we've been shamed for so long. Like
Right.
don't talk about it. Like just be still, be the same, you know? And so I'm not saying like never have sex, and I'm not saying go crazy. I'm just saying know what are your boundaries, what work for you, and and you know, honor those things because it could be different for every person. But I think if you're trying to move on from someone that you really loved, the best way to do that is to spend time with yourself. Don't seek temporary and instant gratification to make you feel better about yourself. It's going to make you feel better in the moment, and then it's going to leave you feeling even lonelier than before because you didn't look at your shadows, like you said. Like you were going through, you were trying to move on for someone else, and then you add another one to the pile, and boom, it's double, you know?
Right.
So I think it's really important to be honest with yourself and feel your feelings, even if they're painful, because it's okay. Like pain is part of life. It's part of the human experience, you know?
After bargaining comes finally comes depression, but I chose not to include it because depression, I feel like it's just there all along the process, and it continues to be there even after acceptance. So I just like chose not to include it because everyone handles it in a different way. But we finally get to acceptance, and I feel like not until you don't accept, you can't actually start healing, because that's when you actually like decide to like let go that past version of yourself and kind of like actually decide that you want to become a brand new person. How did that look for you, and what are those moments after you accepted that relationships ended, that the universe showed you that there was a reason behind the ending of those relationships?
I think you always realize that there's a reason, like way after the fact.
I feel
you
like this
know?
is such a realization moment for us of like, you know?
Yeah, like you really like I think about like my breakup with like my high school boyfriend, and after I had that breakup, I started, you know, my own self-love journey. I started practicing yoga. I eventually started my TikTok, the podcast, like and I think about like if I didn't go through certain pain and heartbreaks in my life, like I just period would not be who I am today.
Right.
Because that pain allowed me to really grow and step into a higher version of myself. And I think it takes time to accept someone leaving your life. But when you accept someone leaving your life, you have to understand that you're not saying that necessarily the way that they treated you was okay. Let's say you got hurt or cheated on or whatever the situation is. You're not certainly saying, like, okay, it's okay how you treated me. You're just saying it's not in my control right now. So I'm going to accept the situation as it is, not as it should be, because I can't do anything about that. So I'm going to put my energy somewhere that's more productive for me and my healing.
Right. I love that. What is your final, like the best breakup advice that you can give? And like, again, like a lot of people and a lot of things can break your heart. And the most common ones are breakups. And like, I feel like one of the most painful ones, obviously, but we go through friendship breakups. We go through
Of course.
detachment of like a lot of things. Like moving can break your heart. Getting out of a job can break your heart. Friendships can break your heart. Your parents can break your heart. Like, what is your best advice, your final advice that you can give to someone who's like navigating a breakup from a point of view of like someone who's just very hurt, you know? Like, it is very easy to say like everything happens for a reason or like whatever, but like you know that when you're in that pain, it is very hard to believe it.
Right.
So what is your best like advice?
Be gentle with yourself. And what I did when I went through my first breakup is I made a promise to myself. Because I would see my friends going through breakups or people that I loved, and I would see how much it pained them, and I would see how it made them think very black and white in the sense of like, okay, I'll never find love again. I'll never open my heart again. And I promised myself, and I suggest to anyone listening, make this promise to yourself. Even though you are hurt right now, do not let anyone outside of you close your heart. Keep your heart open and be gentle with yourself, because one day you're going to meet someone who's going to be so gentle and loving with your heart, and this person's going to make you realize like why you went through everything else beforehand to get to where you are today. So even if your heart hurts, be gentle with it and never let it fully close. Like, you can have the key in the heart, but don't lock it. When you're ready, you can unlock it as much time as you need, but do not let anyone, promise me, like anyone's actions, anyone's words, anyone's hurt towards you, close your heart. Because when you close your heart, you close yourself off to good, to love, to abundance, to joy, to health, to basically everything. Like, love is our birthright. You said this on my podcast. I remember you said love is our natural state of being. Never close your heart for anyone, period.
And I feel like that is so beautiful to end it up with. The ending of a relationship doesn't mean the ending of love.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
And like, one relationship is not the definition of love. You know, love comes in many ways. It comes from many people. It comes from everything and everyone. Everything and everyone is love.
Right.
The ending of a relationship just means that you're just not aligned anymore. And why would you want to be with someone who's not aligned with you anymore? Kim, thank you so much for this episode. This is so special for us. Like, you guys cannot understand the feeling that it is kind of intimidating, because it is way easier to open up and like have a conversation like in my room where I know like nobody's listening to me, like no headphones, no microphone, no anything. Like, I feel that I can be way more myself when I'm in my room than when I'm like here with all of this. So I mean, it is like a challenge for both of us, but I am so grateful. Thank you so much for you, for your existence, for your friendship, and for being here with me today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. And I just want to say also thank you to our communities, because if it wasn't for you guys, we would never have met. So
we would never have met. We would not be here. Like, we are here because of you. Like, so, this is you through us sitting here in the studio.
And I feel like we can just talk to them.
Like,
I know. We're talking to each other, but like I feel the third person.
Yeah, and also we're 20-year-old girls that are just like navigating life just like any 20-year-old girls that are listening, and like we go through so many, like, everyone goes through breakups and heartbreak, and like at the end of the day, I feel like people relate so much to podcasts because we all feel heartbreak the same, you know? Like, heartbreak is that like one painful feeling that we all feel the same, you know?
Exactly.
So we are all connected and we're all related, and yay, thank you so much.
To be a masterpiece and to be a work in progress at the same time. That's the art of falling in love with yourself.
I realize that sometimes the only one that can put the pieces back together is yourself.
With love, Mafe.